Joan Quinn is the former West Coast editor of Andy Warhol's Interview magazine and society editor of the Herald Examiner. Her cover stories are seen in Venice and Detour magazines, and she is a contributing editor to Angelus magazine. For the next half hour, Joan will bring you inside news and views on society, art, film, and the exhilarating worlds of these multifaceted people. Here is Joan Quinn.
Welcome to Joan Quinn, etc. On the show today, we'll be talking to author-producer Tamara Asseyev and designer Romeo Gigli. I'm the U.S. editor for a German magazine called Manipulator, and my editors, David Colby and Wilhelm Mosier, sent me to Italy to participate in the Fashion Week sponsored by Pitti Immagini. While we were there, I was fortunate enough to corner the camera-shy designer Romeo Gigli for our show. He seldom talks to the press. In fact, he doesn't even have a black and white glossy of him to put in the press releases. Gigli designs easy, unconstructed clothes for both men and women. We taped this interview in Florence at the Palazzo Antinori. The Antinori family, besides being known for their historic palazzo, is famous for making great wines. We thank Marchesa Francesca Antinori for her warmth and her charm, and we ask you to come with us to Italy. Marchesa Francesco Antinori has graciously invited us into her 15th century palazzo. We're on the third floor in the salon, and from the great windows over to the side we can see the Duomo, the Palazzo Vecchio, the tower, the facade of the Church of San Gaetano. With us is designer Romeo Gigli, who was just named Designer of the Year by Pitti Uomo, which is the menswear fashion fair in Florence. What responsibilities go with this honor, Mr. Gigli?
The Pitti organization was asking me to do something in Florence during the Pitti Uomo for 3 years. And that season, I was thinking maybe to show my collection on the street can be a nice idea. So I asked to the organization to close for me part of Florence to show my collection on the street during the night time. And we did that. It was a great occasion for me because I think Florence is one of the most beautiful cities in the world. And I was looking for a part of Florence, not in the typical vision of Florence, the monumental Florence, but just a part of Florence building on the 18th century, looking like a regular part of Italy.
But how did you find that particular area?
We were looking for many different places, and I decided for that because I've seen beautiful, but just regular building, no, so decorated and just a part of Italy.
The wall was beautiful. There was the street came down this way and divided.
Yeah, I like that because I can see different perspective and that, and so I decided for that.
Well, it looked like a movie set.
Yes, I was looking for something like that, like a piece of theater or a movie set.
And the idea was, we felt like we were sitting in coffee shops and watching the passing parade.
Yeah, the original idea for me was to do something like a piece of neorealism movie in Italy. And so I was thinking that part of Florence was nice to do that.
And the music, was the music live?
The music was like every time when I do a show, I play with different music coming from all the world, from all the culture. But I put in that music many fragments of all the singer Italian from different century.
You could tell there was just a feel of old Italy. It just moved all the way through. How many models did you use?
There were 120 different models. Yeah.
And they were on bicycles, and they
It was walking. It was coming out from the doors, and
it was incredible. It was like they lived in those apartments, and they just dressed upstairs and they came out.
Yeah, that was the idea.
What is your idea of fashion?
In that moment?
Now, for all times, what do you think about fashion?
I don't know. It's difficult for me to explain something about fashion. When I'm drawing, I'm thinking about the collection. I drawing every pieces alone, because in that way I think every woman, every man, they can underline in the way they mix the pieces their personality. I don't want my design can be too strong altogether, but I prefer to suggest to the people, to the women, pieces.
You design for women and men?
Yes.
Did you go to school in Italy?
No, absolutely not.
Where did you go to school?
I was studying many years ago architecture in Florence.
So your background is in architecture?
Yeah.
So you didn't go to design school?
No. It's so funny.
Well, it's so great because so many Italian people have an architectural background.
So
I've met many.
We like palazzo.
The idea of what you were saying is for a person to choose pieces of yours and wear them worked so well on the bicycles and showing how life is from your fashion show.
So I was thinking to show my collection on the street just to underline that. I think all my pieces, all my collection, they can work in the real world life.
Do you exactly? That's exactly. Do you have certain colors that you like?
My favorite colors, every time my favorite colors are yellow and blue.
They are.
But I play every collection with 50 or 60 or 70 different colors. So because I like to play with the color. I like to mix the colors.
Are they changing every year?
Yeah, of course.
And
depend of my emotion and that. You know.
Do you have a certain feeling of trends? Do you follow a trend in fashion?
No, I don't think trend is. I don't want trends, you know. I like to underline with my drawings, with my work, what I have in my mind. Everything is pushing me in some way. Maybe a book, maybe a movie, maybe an exposition, you know.
So you're influenced?
I can have some suggestions after I translate with my mind. I hope in a modern way.
Where do you live now?
I'm living in Milano. Milan, yes.
And did you first show in Milan?
My first show was a long time ago, was on the 84, yes.
Well, you're very young, that's not...
I'm not so young, but I started very late.
I know. Were you an architect before? Did you work?
No, I don't finish my studio of architecture, and when I was 22 years old, I decided to know all the world. So I was a big traveler around the world for 10 years.
You did?
Yes.
What were you doing?
Because I like to meet people, to understand all the culture, and I'm really curious, you know.
Which was your favorite part when you were traveling?
Oh, of course, India.
India?
Yes.
The colors, that's why you like yellow?
I like people. I like the philosophy, and so I like the people in India.
I know you're a great collector. Tell us about some of the things that you collect.
Oh, I collect everything.
Oh, you did tell us. What's your favorite?
I don't know what a collector. I buy what I like. I like to buy what I like. And many times are present for my friends.
Oh, is that what?
Yeah.
What about the ancient books?
So
That you were
my
telling
father
me.
and my grandfather, they was antiquarian book collector and dealers. So
they were
I was
dealers.
collector and dealers. So I was living on my young age surrounded of 20,000 rare and antique books. So I was living in that atmosphere. Maybe that can help my mind to work in this kind of decoration.
The book collection. What favorite part of Italy?
Oh, I love all Italy. I love South.
Do you?
Because it's full of sun and energy. But I think all the Italy is very beautiful.
What about the food?
About Italian food? So, I love food. I'm a gourmand, you know. And
Are
I love
you?
it. Yes, yes, yes.
Do you cook?
Sometimes, yes, for a friend on the country.
What's one of your favorite dishes?
My favorite dish,
To cook.
Very simple spaghetti.
And how do you make it? Tell us, we want to know in California and United States what your simple spaghetti recipe would be.
With tomato and basil.
And how do you
basil.
make it? How do you make it? Tell us.
It's so simple. It's difficult for me to explain. It's very, very simple.
Chop it up.
Oh,
Cut
come
the
on.
tomatoes.
No,
Olive oil.
It's very simple. I can explain you, but in visual way.
From Milan, do you travel to the United States with your collection?
Yes, sometimes not big, but my seller people. Sometimes I have my shop in New York. And on the fourth floor, we have a showroom where we sold the small collection only because we sold the big collection only in Milano. But sometimes the resort collection is coming in New York for the buyers. Yes.
Are you planning to spend more time in the United States?
I love the United States. I like to stay around the United States. I did a big trip many years ago. It was 78 for 3 months around California, Utah, Colorado, Arizona. And I was visiting all the Indian Reserve. It was very, very interesting.
We want you to come and work there.
Excuse me?
We want you to come and work there. I think
Yeah.
it's very important for you to come to the States and bring your feeling of clothes for people normal people to wear. It seems like it's very normal, your design.
I think so. I put the clothes all together in my dreaming way, but all the pieces are really easy, I hope so, just for life, you know.
Do you
It
have
depends only in the way you put all together the clothes, of course.
Do you have a favorite person who does cinema? Do you have a favorite?
No, it depends. It
depends.
depends from the period or the motion.
What about movie stars?
I don't know.
Are you infatuated with Hollywood or the movie business in any way?
Not so much.
Not so
I
much.
prefer books.
But you were like a movie star the other night
Why?
because you were giving
It was my first time in my life.
to give autographs.
Yes.
They were lined up and you were signing.
It was really strange.
Did you like that?
It was fun.
It was-
It was really fun.
So you're going on holiday from Florence.
No, I would work now on my women collection because I have my show in October, but maybe I spend 1 month in August in Mexico.
Oh, you will?
Yeah, I want to stay in Mexico.
All around Mexico?
Yeah.
Great. Well, we're going to look for you in Los Angeles. We're going to look for you in New York. And we're very happy that you were with us today. And we want to thank you. And thank Pity Umo for naming you the designer. Umo for naming you the designer of the year. And when you come to California, come and visit us.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Romeo Gigli. Did I say it right?
Romeo Gigli, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. We did want to thank Romeo Gigli for being with us. We want to thank Sabella Della Giradesca and Janino Malassi of Pity for all the help they gave in arranging the camera team and everything else they did. The fashion show that we talked about with Romeo took place on the street. Several blocks were closed off for the event, which was sponsored by Pitti Uomo in Florence. Romeo gave me these pictures so that you can see what the fashion show really actually looked like. It was very dark. There were a lot of candles in the windows. It was very moody. And we were lucky to see him because this is the way most people see him, just the back, as he rode off in the night on his little Vespa to the applause of all the hundreds of people sitting in the street watching him. We'll be right back, and with us will be Tamara Asseyev and her new book about her cat. Don't go away. Welcome back to Joan Quinn, etc. Independent producer Tamara Asseyev has produced several feature films, but is remembered for her Academy Award-winning movie, Norma Ray. The film won many awards, including Best Actress at the Cannes Film Festival and the Christopher Award for Best Screenplay and Best Director. For television, Tamara produced After the Promise, which received a Golden Globe nomination for Best Movie Made for TV. She also produced The Hijacking of the Achille Lauro, which garnered 3 Emmy nominations. She's worked with show business greats, Tony Richardson, Lee Grant, Carl Malden, and Stephanie Powers. Aside from TV and film production, Tamara has found time to write a book for pocketbooks titled Always Kiss with Your Whiskers, Love Advice from My Cat. What does always kiss with your whiskers mean, Tamara?
Well, always kiss with your whiskers. It's the way cats kiss. They go to give you a kiss and they use their whiskers.
Oh, they just little
They
like...
brush it. See, the cover of the book has our cat, Bumper, kissing her mistress, giving her advice on how to kiss.
Your cat is named?
This cat's name is Bumper.
The cat in the book
is Bumper.
But your own cat...
Oh, my cat's Mao. But that name was too ethnic, so we had to change it to Bumper.
Does your cat actually give you advice?
Gives me advice on love and on business, on cooking, on everything.
Does he have proper manners and good etiquette?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Actually, this is one of the things in the book. It's proper manners on how to conduct a love affair. And this is never take over his whole apartment.
And this is Bumper in the cage?
Bumper in the bird cage. Never take over his whole apartment. Let's see, we have another one here. Never go to bed mad. Can you see this?
Yep. What does he do? Jump on your head?
Jump on the head. For goodness.
How did you pick these drawings?
The drawings are wonderful. Her name is Bonnie Timmons, the illustrator. We wrote the text and we sent it to Bonnie, and one day, about a month later, my fax machine just started spewing out these wonderful drawings, and there were about 30 of them.
We got to get back to the beginning, though.
Okay.
How did a producer happen to write a book? Let's get back to the very beginning. We've got Bonnie Timmons doing the illustrations, but we don't know how you got to writing the book.
Well, Always Kiss with Your Whiskers was first conceived as a television series, and my partner Liz Nichols and I wrote the proposal, and then we realized that cats were outselling dogs, that there were more cat owners in the world than dog owners, so we decided to jump on the bandwagon and first sell it as a book, and then later we'll have it be a television series and then a comic strip and
everything
keep
else.
going on and on and on.
What are the similarities in writing a book and producing a say, a TV series.
Very few similarities. The concept is similar, writing the concept, but from then on it's entirely different. The book is in the book stands a few months after we delivered it. A movie takes much longer, a television series.
Do you find the book world easier for women, easier than the film world?
I find all worlds difficult right now. I think you have to come up with a good idea, and it doesn't make any difference if you're a man or a woman. If you have a good commercial idea, people will buy it, will, air it, will publish it, will do, anything that needs to be done. So.
You've been in show business and successful as a woman for years and years. Have you ever felt any of the qualms of being discriminated against?
Well, I've been producing features for 25 years, and 25 years ago it was odd to be a young woman as a producer. Today it's not odd at all. There are a lot of very successful women in all areas of show business.
How did you get started?
I got out of graduate school and went to work as a secretary for Roger Corman, who is a very prolific low-budget producer and director, and he invested his money in a lot of low-budget films, and I would go out and watch his money on a series of films that he financed, like Peter Bogdanovich's first film, Targets. And then after a year, I went off and produced a film for him in Europe, and that was called The Wild Racers. And then the following year, I raised some money and produced my own film.
What does an independent producer actually mean? I think you gave us a little taste of it just now.
You come up with a concept, you get it financed, you get someone to back it, to finance it, to distribute it. You pick the script, you pick the writer of the script, the director, you edit it, you're like a contractor.
You do everything.
You do it all. Yeah.
And does your cat help you do that?
My cat sits on every script I have to read to make sure that it's read properly.
Do we have any more of these?
Yeah, we have two more. This is love advice from my cat, and this is maintain your independence.
Well, that's for an independent producer.
This is for an independent producer.
And how do you maintain it? By walking out the door?
You have your own separate door. You just don't rely on your mistress to come in the door. And the second one, mind you, this is love advice from my cat, is if his mother serves pot roast, ask for seconds.
Whether he can stand it or not. Look at the face on Bumper.
Bumper's had too much pot roast, but he's going to ask for seconds.
From selling your book and selling your play, T-shirts, I can see T-shirts.
Yes,
I can see. I know you're very, very community-minded. You spend a lot of time giving back to the community, in the arts especially. What are some of your interests as far as the charitable?
Well, contemporary art. I'm a founder of the Contemporary Art Museum downtown and helped raise money to get that built and wonderful collections put in there. And I'm part of the Blue Ribbon, which is a support group for the Music Center. And we raise money to educate children in the arts. The things that I am now mostly interested in are art-oriented things.
Are you a collector?
Sort of a minor collector. I collect paintings by a painter named Kenneth Nolan, an abstract expressionist, and a sculptor named Tony Caro, who's a British.
Have you lived in other parts of the world so that you can identify with the arts in those areas as well?
Well, being a film and television producer, I produced all over the world. I produced a miniseries in East Africa. I've worked in London.
Tell us about that. You were in East Africa for a long time.
Right. That was a miniseries on a woman named Beryl Markham, and it was called Shadow on the Sun. And Beryl Markham was a famous aviatrix. She flew across the Atlantic solo in 1936, and then she wrote a wonderful book about her adventures as a bush pilot and flying across the Atlantic called West with the Night.
See, how long were you actually there then?
I was, I was shooting the film for 3.5 months, but I was there off and on for a number of months before and after.
Oh, wow.
It was very exciting. That was directed by Tony Richardson. It really was a TV out of Africa. It was beautifully made.
You really get to feel the country then when you go out as an independent producer.
Right.
What happens to your cat?
I have a cat keeper.
You don't take your cat with you.
I miss my cat.
You miss your cat. What do you do in your spare time when you're in between?
I take care of my cats, and I write cat books like Always Kiss with Your Whiskers.
Do you travel for fun ever? Or is it always
No,
business?
it's really business oriented. You know, I go back and forth to London quite a bit where I have projects with the British networks, and everything is pretty much business oriented.
Tell us what you like about Los Angeles, because I know you've been living here. Are you a native?
I'm originally from Los Angeles. I was raised in Pasadena. I went all the way through school here, and I just am a native Californian. I love it. I love the weather, and I always sort of have to get back.
Well, what do you think your cat would tell us as a goodbye for Joan Quinn, etc.?
Bye, always kiss with your whiskers.
We'll look for this book. I think Bumper is so adorable.
Thank you, Joan.
And the book is charming. And thank you for coming and bringing it with us. And I think I have to get some advice from Bumper, too, today. And I know you'll give it to us. Thanks very much for being with us, Tamara Asseyev. And come back and see us on Joan Quinn, etc. next time.